Hello and welcome to Elecspo, and it's time to talk about Newcastle United. The Magpies are in freefall right now, with Steve Bruce's woeful side sleepwalking into another relegation fight. Newcastle look absolutely desperate, while the fact that Bruce is still in the job becomes all the more baffling each passing day. Newcastle need a saviour, and it's clearly not Steve Bruce, but could it be a former manager? Enter Rafa Benitez. The Spaniard was a hero on Tyneside before his heart-wrenching departure in 2019, and ever since he left, most Toon fans have longed for his return. There's been countless comparisons between Bruce and Benitez, while Gary Neville recently had the audacity to say the only difference was Rafa had a good PR team. That's right, Champions League winner Rafa Benitez is only considered better than Bruce because of PR, according to the bloke who absolutely flopped at another club where Rafa won trophies. But anyway, while a return for Rafa Benitez to St James's Park is never going to happen while Mike Ashley's in charge, that hasn't stopped me making it come true on Football Manager 2021. Using the editor, Rafa's replaced Bruce in the dugout and has got an 8-year contract on 100 grand a week. And if Pardew can get an 8-year deal, then Rafa definitely can. Let's see if Benitez can get more of a tune out of this woeful Newcastle side than Bruce, or if once again he'll be shackled by the owner Mike Ashley. Right, here we are at the start of the simulation, and as you can see, Rafa Benitez is back at Newcastle. He's replaced Steve Bruce, and the media think the Magpies are going to come 12th, which is better than they're doing in reality, let's be honest. Let's simulate a year into the future. Let's see if Rafa Benitez can get more out of this team than Steve Bruce can. I'm pretty sure he can. Okay, it's the end of the first season, and to my shock, Newcastle have actually done worse under Rafa Benitez. They have survived in the Premier League. They've came 15th with just 39 points on the board. They didn't even reach the magic 40. That's fewer than Steve Bruce got in his first year as Newcastle boss. The Magpies came 13th and got 44 points under Brucey. But with Rafa back at the helm, all they've done is survive. I'm going to say if there's been any kind of takeover, there hasn't. Kevin McCabe has tried to buy them twice and failed. So still, Mike Ashley is ruling the roost at St James's Park. And there's been no real income. I mean, it says there they've spent £42 million, but the majority of that is from signs were already made. Kenneth Omaru is the only big name to arrive, £7 million. So changes there. I'd say if there's been any joy in the Cup at least. Quarter-finals of the League Cup, about as good as Bruce was doing. He got the quarters this season. FA Cup, they were knocked out straight away. Again, just like Steve Bruce. But for a first year in charge, this wasn't really very good for Rafa Benitez. So at the minute, he's not doing better than Bruce. He's actually doing worse. But he's still on the job. Let's simulate a year into the future. Let's see if year 2 brings any more joy for Rafa and the Toon Army. Okay, so here we are at the end of the season 2, and there's been an improvement at Newcastle. They have breached the top 10 just. They've came 10th. 46 points this time, 7 points better off than they were the season before. And Callum Wilson is sharing the golden boot. I mean, when was the last time anyone from Newcastle got even close to a golden boot? Demba Ba, maybe? He only scored for half a season, not really sure about that. But Newcastle up to 10th. Rafa Benitez, of course, still there. Martin Dubravka's now his skipper. Has there been a takeover? There has. A reprieve for Rafa Benitez. No longer does he have to work under Mike Ashley. A man called Tom Holmes, who failed to buy the club in August 2021. In January 2022, he has done it. He has taken over Newcastle. Has it given Rafa any money to spend? In the January, no it didn't. They got Dallo in on loan and Malang Sarr. There was a fair bit of money spent actually, but Fedor Chalov's quite a good signing, and Lovre Meyer also decent. Patson Daka, the most expensive arrival. But they've had to sell too. Ryan Fraser gone for £24 million. Joe Linton just £2.3 million. Rafa's clearly had to raise his own funds. Has he made progress in the Cups this time? Doesn't look like it. Third round again, knocked out by Swansea. That's disappointing. In the League Cup, they were embarrassed by Carlisle. So for all Newcastle have improved in the league, it's still a work in progress. Best player at the club's been Callum Wilson. I mean, Fedor Chalov's top of the pops there, but he only started one game, so we'll ignore that. Mano Solomon, he's another new arrival. He's done well. One to watch, actually, is really winger. And, of course, Alan St-Maximin, a top player as well. But 2 years, and at least some promise for Newcastle. They're on the march. They're improving. They're climbing the Premier League table, and they're finally rid of the Mike Ashley reign of terror. Year 3, surely there's going to be even more improvement, let's find out. Okay, so here we are, June 2023, and Newcastle United are 7th. Rafa Benitez yet again has improved the Magpies with 58 points on the board to put them in 7th ahead of some big clubs. They've gone ahead of Arsenal and Leicester. That is damn impressive from the Magpies. And I've got a feeling they might have won a trophy, because it says there that they have qualified for the Europa League. Let's go straight to that. Well, it wasn't the League Cup. They got knocked out in the second round by Sheffield United. But the Magpies have won the FA Cup. Their trophy drought is over in the year 2023. The last time Newcastle United won a domestic major trophy was 1955. I'm not even going to bother doing the maths, but this is a long time coming. They've beaten Tottenham 2-1. They came from behind at Wembley. Goals from Fedor Chalov and Max Meyer, the Crystal Palace flop. And it was a strong end to the season as well. They beat Man City in the semi-finals. It's been a great run to the FA Cup. Started with a derby win over Middlesbrough, then they smashed Crewe away from home. A solid 1-0 win over Sheffield United, going down to 10 men, and they battered Watford 4-0. And then Callum Wilson getting the winner in the semis to set up a final date with Tottenham, where Rafa Benitez has done what he promised. He's made Newcastle fans dream, and he has given them a trophy. It's his 3rd season, and that's all it took. The money isn't massive. He still brought in £41 million and spent 57. But clearly the players he's signing are making a difference. As Newcastle United, they're going to be a Europa League club. They've got a trophy in the cabinet, something to shine. Alan St-Maximin, the main man. You wouldn't really expect him to be a player who would thrive under Rafa Benitez. I'm not sure why. I don't really get that kind of vibe from him. But here, Alan St-Maximin is the main man. 10 goals and 9 assists. Goals still seem to have been hard to come by. Chalov with 11, Callum Wilson with 11, so the two strikers need to improve. But speaking of improvement, Newcastle are on the up. Matty Longstaff's done well, as is Sean Longstaff, just slightly worse than his brother. I'd like to think they'd be doing better in reality, but alas. Newcastle United 7th in the Premier League, so in 3 years with Rafa back at the club, they've gone from 15th to 10th to 7th. They've won a trophy and they're back in Europe. Let's go into year 4 and see what he can do this time. Right, the 2nd of June 2024, 4 years of Rafa Benitez at Newcastle, more than he managed in his first spell. And the improvement just continues. They've gone from 7th to 6th. Newcastle coming 6th in the Premier League, 64 points on the board. Yet again they're above Leicester, they're above Arsenal. And yet again they're going to be playing European football. 6th place ensured they got into the Europa League for a 2nd year in a row. Rafa Benitez is in absolute dreamland at Newcastle. The fans must absolutely adore him even more than the first time. Delivered a trophy. He's got them competing in the top half. They've got a Geordie as the bloody captain. I'm going to see what status Rafa Benitez has got at the club now. Just a favoured personnel. Should be a bloody legend. Let's have a look at how they got on in Europe. The Community Shield was a bit of a disaster. They got battered 4-0 by Chelsea at Wembley. The Europa League, they were in a group alongside Bayer Leverkusen, Zaraya and Copenhagen. And that saw Newcastle make it through. But they were immediately knocked out by Ajax. That's quite a hard draw, to be honest. FA Cup, they made the quarters, unable to defend the crown. But Newcastle's league form was enough to get them into 6th place. Has there been more money spent? There's been a lot of money spent, but there's also a lot of money came into the club, notably for Alan St-Maximin. Newcastle have lost their best player for £71 million, joining Chelsea. Any other big exits? That gentleman there, who I didn't even notice they'd signed, but he's gone for a lot of money. That seems to be about it. Coming in though, Pipi from Real Madrid B team. Just a weird name for a wiener. A wiener? What am I talking about? Who else they signed? Juan Foyth, Ben Wilmot. Some decent names here. But £42.5 million on Pipi makes him the club record signing. Let's have a look. Japanese central midfielder. First season has been okay. Nothing to really shout about. But still, despite all this, Rafa's still bringing in more money than he's spending. That's a lot of money spent though, 151 million. They also got Taith Chong at the end of the year. Man United fans will know all about him. He's just done okay, not particularly brilliant at Newcastle. But the improvement for the Magpies is clear for all to see. Let's check Rafa out. Obviously I handed him an 8-year contract, so he's still got another 4 years to run on that. Pleased to be in charge of one of his favourite clubs. That would be music to Newcastle fans. I mean, that's true. Steve Bruce, Newcastle are one of his favourite clubs. But he's not acting like it at the minute. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go 2 years into the future. No, we'll say 3. We'll go 3 years into the future. We'll go into 2027 and see what is going on as Rafa enters the final year of his Newcastle contract. Let's go. Okay, so it's the 2nd of June 2027. 3 more years into the future. And Newcastle are still in the top half of the Premier League, the 6th again. Still above some big clubs. Let's check them out, how they've been doing over the years. So when we left things in 2024, that came 6th. After that was me tummy if you heard that, sorry. After that, they came 10th in 2025. They went backwards again in 2026 to drop down to 11th. But the board still kept faith in Rafa, who has delivered again and got them back into the top half, into the top 6 just. And has he won any more trophies in this time? Let's have a look. FA Cup, no. 2023 was the triumph. Carabao Cup, no progress there either. Let's see how they were getting on in Europe as we left them. The season we left them, they made it through the groups. They got to the second knockout round where they were knocked out by Lyon, beat Celtic in the round before. Doesn't look like there's been any, well, obviously not been any more cup finals, otherwise it would have said. Next season there was no European football, quarter-finals, other cups, and a semi-final in the League Cup. So Newcastle are competing. That's all the Toon fans want, a bit of ambition, which is exactly what Rafa Benitez is bringing to the club. He's now at the grand old age of 67, but there's an issue here. He's a wanted man by Manchester City. That could be too hard for Rafa to turn down. Man City, one of the biggest clubs in the world. And at the age of 67, he's not really going to get many more chances to manage at the top level. Man City finished the season in 5th, 1 place above Newcastle, 11 points. Have a look at how much money they've been spending. This summer, Newcastle spent 79 million to 31 million coming in, so things are changing on that front. Season before that, 112 spent, 153 came in. Some good youngsters here. Paul Wilson back at the club, you're not asked about that. Jeremy Frimpong from Celtic, just about to leave the boys at the time of recording. It's probably already been done. Emile Smith-Rowe on a free, that is a good signing. Daniel James, don't know how he ended up at Atlanta, but he's a Newcastle man now. And he's not playing very well, that's not the point. Who else have we got? Neil Mopey on loan. Ben Godfrey, that's a loan deal. Eberechi Eze. Ryan Sessegnon. A lot of young English talent coming to Newcastle. The main man at the club, Manon Solomon, the Israeli winger that we pointed out at the start of the simulation. Jamal Lewis doing well. This Newcastle team very different to the one that started the simulation. The only similarity being that Rafa Benitez is still there. And things are bloody rosy at St James's Park. What I'm going to do, let's go another 3 years into the future. Let's see what happens. Will Rafa leave? Or will he still be there? Will he be making it 10 years in charge of the Magpies? Let's find out. Okay, so we're 10 years into this simulation and Newcastle United are 10th in the Premier League. But the big question is, who is the manager? Let's find out. It's Rafa Benitez. He is still at the club. He's at the club until 2031. He's extended his stay, surpassed the initial 8-year contract. The move to Chelsea didn't happen. How have Newcastle been getting on in the past 3 years? As we left things in 2027, Newcastle came 6th, followed it up with a 6th place finish, and then another 6th place finish. And then they've just came 10th. But if you notice at the bottom, their results, they've recently played Marseille, which I think Newcastle have made it all the way to a European Cup final. Let's scroll to the bottom. Newcastle beaten in the Europa League final. They've struggled in the Premier League this season, they've came 10th, but that's because they've been so busy competing in the Europa League. En route to the final. In the group stages, they played Copenhagen again, Marseille, the team they lost to in the final, and Olympia. In the knockout round, they would knock out Celtic again, they would knock out Liverpool, they would knock out Ajax, but in the final, beaten by Marseille at the City of Manchester Stadium at the Etihad. Marseille 2, Newcastle United 0. But that would have been incredible for Newcastle. Imagine Newcastle right now in a European Cup final. That's exactly what Rafa Benitez has done. There hasn't been any other trophies, unfortunately, for the Magpies. Still just that FA Cup triumph from 2023. I mean, I can't imagine there's going to be too much demand for trophies. Just one's enough for the minute, but so close to a European Cup. The Europa League was within their grasp. Against Marseille in the group stages, they beat them and they got a 2-2 draw away from home. But when it came down to it in the final, they fell to a 2-0 defeat. As for Rafa Benitez, let's check him out. He's still content with life at the club he loves. No plans, there's no suggestion of retirement, but I mean, at the age of 70, surely he's going to be hanging it up soon. Could be one to watch out for in the next year when that contract expires in the summer of 2031. What can Rafa do in his final year as Newcastle United manager? Actually, before we do that, let's just check that ownership hasn't changed hands again. No, it's still Tom Holmes. He's still there, calling the shots. Mike Ashley's nowhere to be seen. He's just behind the counter at Sports Direct, probably. I don't think that's what Mike Ashley does at Sports Direct, but whatever. He's there, he's organising the trainers. But let's move into one more year. Let's see what happens in the 11th year of Rafa Benitez at Newcastle. Right, so here we are, the 8th of June 2031. Yet again, Newcastle United have came 10th in the Premier League. Rafa Benitez, there he is. He plans to retire in the coming weeks. The career of Rafa Benitez is coming to an end at 71 years old. That'll be 11 years in charge of Newcastle. Add that to the 3 he spent prior, that'll have been 14 years in charge of Newcastle, and the man can be bloody damn proud of what he's built. He's taken them from strugglers under Steve Bruce. After a slow first season where they came 15th, they have climbed the Premier League table. In 11 years, they've only had 2 finishes outside the top 10. They've won a trophy, they've been playing in Europe, they nearly won the Europa League. Was there any trophies this season? Let's have a look. There wasn't, there was nothing. But that's fine, never mind. Surely Rafa Benitez must be a club legend now. Still only favoured personnel. That is madness. He's a club legend, or is he a club legend? Club icon, probably. Surely that'll change when Rafa calls it a day. But there we have it, 10th in the Premier League. So there we go, that's what will happen if Rafa Benitez returns to Newcastle. I mean, it's not going to happen, he's not going to go if Mike Ashley's still there. But that's what happened here, he went back, there was a takeover. He's made Newcastle fans dream. He's done exactly what Newcastle fans said he would do. This isn't going to happen under Steve Bruce. Steve Bruce won't be here in 11 years' time. Christ, imagine if he's here in 11 years' time. God, on that sour note, I'm going to have to leave it, otherwise I need to lie down. But we will leave it there. That is what would happen based on Football Manager if Rafa Benitez returned to Newcastle United. They only went and won a bloody trophy. But we will leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. As always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Elecspo. Let me know your ideas in the comments. But until next time, we will see you around.